I still remember the moment like it was yesterday. It was the spring of 1997. I had just finished an off-season football workout that day after school, and I jumped in my black 1978 Cutlass Supreme and headed home. As I was traveling down Gherkin Road, I was just extra burdened that day. My 17-year-old life, it wasn't going great. Some things that I'd been finding joy in had come to an end, and I was sad, heartbroken. And on that ride home that day, the burden just got heavier and heavier to the point I began to cry. But along with that burden came a call from God. And not an audible voice, but a voice that spoke into my spirit, calling me to give my life to Jesus. Telling me that while everything on earth would fail me, Jesus never would. And reminding me of the promise that I'd heard so many times up to that point, that through Jesus my sins would be forgiven. You see, the Lord had been pursuing me at this point for 6 or 7 years, but every time He had called me before, I'd pushed Him away. But this time was different. I was coming up to that four-way stop there at the Gherkin Crossroads, pulled up to that crossroads, burdened and lost. But when I pulled through the crossroads, I pulled my car over to the side of that little country road and stopped. And right then and there, just me and God, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. I repented of my sin and I asked Jesus to be Savior and Lord of my life. And He wonderfully did that. And that was the day that I met Jesus. But I didn't just meet Jesus that day. I also met His Father. You see, when you meet Jesus, you meet the Father too. I came to know the Father through Jesus, and His Father became my Father. And from that moment forward, my life was changed. So, beloved, when you know the Father, your life will never be the same. Just as Apostle John mentions in 1 John 2:13, he says, I write to you, children, because you know the Father. Our knowledge of the Father, it changes everything. So I wonder this moment, do you know Him? Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry.